What is up, guys? What is up, everybody? I am solo today. Unfortunately, either everybody was busy, or Jen, the actress, she does her own live streaming, so she's not going to be part of this. And Saki Kitty had other things that Saki Kitty had to do, and Senor Oliver had to do some other stuff. So I'm doing this solo. So today, what's going on? Hello, welcome. So today I'm going to be talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender. For those of you that don't know, Avatar: The Last Airbender is now on Netflix. They just put it back on Netflix May 15th. So I mean, if you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it cuz it is a great show. It is really good. I love it so much. And I got to sign into my chat so I can be able to see y'all's comments. I forgot to make sure that was signed in. Oh, I hate it when it does that. So, like, one thing I hate is whenever you sign into something, they make you do this whole like picture verification thing, and it's a pain in the ass. And well, I was able to get into it. So, I mean, for those of you that haven't seen it, Avatar: The Last Airbender, it is a great show. It's amazing. It's one of those. It's a show that has so much lore and character development, and there's so many things that they don't address in the show that they kind of address in The Legend of Korra. But it is one of those, like, I do recommend it. I recommend everybody watches it. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. I love it. And like, I made a comment, like, today we were going to be talking about Avatar versus Harry Potter, and we were going to turn it into a podcast. Unfortunately, there aren't a lot of people that know too much about Harry Potter. I got the right title. No, I had it right yesterday too. We did a podcast yesterday and I had it right. Let me sit up straight. My back is killing. No, well, yeah, well, I had it right yesterday. It's just that. No, I had it right yesterday. It's just that I screwed up Monday because I forgot to change it because I'm supposed to go on the web browser and change it manually. So I have to. I just didn't. I just forgot to change it. And Mondays, like, I hate Mondays. I honestly do, and it sucks. But like, so a lot of people didn't want to join today because not a lot of people know too much about Harry Potter, and I don't know that much about Harry Potter, honestly. I know that the Horcrux, whatever they're called, the Infinity Stones, the Horcrux, whatever they're called, the things that Voldemort has attached his soul to in case he bites the big one, he can come back to life. So I know Harry is definitely one of them. The Horcrux, Crocs. I don't know. Leave me alone. I've seen Harry Potter, and the first Harry Potter I saw was The Prisoner of Azkaban, and then I saw The Goblet of Fire, and then I watched all of them after that. And then I discovered Avatar. I discovered Avatar because I was watching Nickelodeon, and they had Avatar on. It was an episode where they went into the library. It was the second season where they go into the library to discover the ancient library, which has like a bunch of, it's like filled with all the knowledge of everything in the world, and it's guarded by a giant owl spirit. And then that's when Sokka discovers that that there's going to be an eclipse, and it's going to leave all the firebenders without firebending for a little bit. So that was really, and that's what got me into the show. So I started watching it after that, and then I watched it from beginning to end again, and I noticed that I didn't like the first season as much as I liked the second or third season of Avatar, because I thought it was like, I don't know what it was. It just seemed a little slow to me, but it's not that it was bad. I just didn't like it as much. It was like the second season was really good, but the third season is probably like my favorite. But and a lot of people don't like The Legend of Korra. I thought it was okay. It's not that I hated it. I think too many people compare The Legend of Korra to to Avatar: The Last Airbender, because The Legend of Korra isn't as good as The Last Airbender, but it is not a bad show. It's pretty good overall. It covers a lot of lore. Like, they have an entire episode dedicated to the very first Avatar, like how he became Avatar 1, and the way he became the Avatar. And that's a really good episode. It's great. I like it. So, and like, if you're just joining, you're probably wondering why I'm by myself. Well, instead of canceling the podcast for not having a co-host, I decided to come on here anyway and just try to do it myself and interact with the comments. And we're gonna do this for like an hour. I'm dead tired. I'm not feeling too good. I'm dead tired. Avatar: The Last Airbender is the cake and the icing. Korra is the cool detail and trim. Yeah, I could agree with that. Korra was a great series. People were like, oh, well, Korra's this, Korra's that. Well, Korra's a teenager, where Aang was 12. So, of course, Korra is going to have, like, issues. And I haven't spoiled anything yet. I haven't spoiled anything. Like, these are key. These aren't even, like, keynotes in the series. These are just, like, little parts of episodes that... I don't think Korra's trash. I thought Korra was okay. I thought Korra was an okay series. Korra is not a great series. It is an okay series. I do not agree that it's a great series. I agree that it's a good series. But too many people compare The Legend of Korra to The Last Airbender. Korra expands that lore of the universe of the Avatar series to where they didn't explain certain things in the Avatar. Avatar: The Last Airbender is a better series. And I feel like when you watch Korra, when you first watch Korra, it feels like it's not meant to be a long series. And I think they actually said that it wasn't. It was supposed to be a short series. That's why when Korra, the first villain is Amon, and that arc didn't last very long. I think it only lasted halfway through season 1, or... I'm not sure. I'm trying to think. Korra wasn't... The reason why Korra had issues was because Korra wasn't meant to be very long. Korra was supposed to be... Like, I don't think the creator intended to make Korra originally. I think Korra was meant to be a short series to continue to make the fans happy, but it kind of evolved into its own series, because you can kind of tell, like, halfway through the season, like, it was really good in the beginning, then it kind of got rushed, and then it just out of nowhere, like, the first series, it's just like they didn't know. They didn't have long-term planning for Korra. You can definitely see that in Korra, The Legend of Korra. They did not have long-term planning for the series. That's why it just seems really off. And like, that's why they had different villains for every season, where The Last Airbender was planned from beginning to end, with the Fire Nation being the antagonist. They're trying to defeat the Fire Nation and the Fire Lord. So that was planned from beginning to end, where The Legend of Korra, I think they were kind of just writing it as they went, because they weren't prepared. They weren't fully prepared to write another Avatar series. Now, there is an Avatar comic. Which kind of continues the Last Airbender after they defeat Fire Lord Ozai. Yeah, Aang and Katara do get married and have kids. I think Katara's older than Aang. I felt like Korra's... Yes, that is a perfect example. The Legend of Korra is kind of like Dragon Ball GT in a sense. The way Dragon Ball GT worked is Akira Toriyama was making Dragon Ball, and he intended for Dragon Ball to end with Dragon Ball Z. And it did. And he didn't want to work on it anymore. He didn't want to do anything. So, but the studio wanted to continue it, and they wanted more for it. So they made Dragon Ball GT without the original creator. So the Legend of Korra, I think they intended for the Last Airbender to just be it, but because it was so popular and there was so much demand for it, they made the Legend of Korra. And you can see it because the Legend of Korra kind of follows the same story. I don't know if anyone ever played Fable 2, but the Legend of Korra and Fable 2 have a very similar story, because in Fable 2, like you find out that the Age of Heroes is over because people had started discovering gunpowder. People started utilizing, they started utilizing gunpowder, and they started making guns, and they started making like rifles and stuff like that. So they no longer needed the heroes. So there was a revolt against the heroes to where the people like attacked the heroes. And right, no, like physically, because Aang's avatar state froze his body, so he no longer aged. Now, technically, Aang is older, but physically and mentally, I think Katara is definitely older than Aang. Like, let's say Aang wasn't frozen for 100 years. Let's say he's actually 12. He's just 12, not 112. Let's just say he's 12. Is Katara 14 years old? Because I think Katara is 14. I'm not sure. Katara is definitely older physically than Aang. Aang is older in a sense, but the way the avatar powers work, it's not. They've never explained how he survived. They just say that he froze himself with it in his avatar state, created that iceberg and froze him and Appa, which, you know, it's a cartoon. You don't want to try to put too much logic into it, but at the same time, you know, they try to make it to where it makes sense. Katara is 14 years old in the first episode. Yeah, that's what I thought, honestly. But so talking about Fable. So the people revolted against the heroes, and they no longer needed them, so the heroes were thinned out. So in the Korra series, there's a revolution led by a villain who wants to start getting rid of benders. Like, we don't need benders anymore. We live in an age where we no longer need benders. Now, see, in the Avatar series, they believe that they learned bending from the badger moles, the air bisons, the dragons, and I don't know who would the water ones. The fish? Who did they learn water from? Does anybody know? Did they explain who they learned water bending from? Because I think I might have missed that part. But in the Legend of Korra, I can't do it, and I'm not gonna do it wearing a helmet. I'm not really. They learn from the fish. Oh, a big old fish. They learned from a big old fish. The koi fish. I thought the koi fish were just spirits that helped them. That might make sense. Yeah, you know what? That makes sense. They learned from the koi fish. That makes sense. Yeah, definitely. Because they couldn't. I thought but it's kind of weird because in the Legend of Korra, they in the episode where they explained that the people used to live on the backs of the lion turtles, because the lion turtles' backs were big enough to hold cities. So when people the lion turtles would carry the people on their backs to protect them from the spirits, because the spirits roamed the land and they controlled everything, and they would attack the people if they saw them in the wild. So when the people went out to gather food or whatever, they would borrow bending from the lion turtles and then return it when they came home. So the lion turtles gave bending to the people, and the people didn't always know how to fully utilize bending. So there was one guy who saw the two big spirits. He saw two spirits fighting. So they explained that one of the spirits. Ah, shit! You can't even see me. There we go. I totally forgot you couldn't see me. I'm so sorry, everybody. Um, yeah, so the animals, that's what I was saying. That's what I thought. So, because in Avatar, they say they learn how to bend from the animals. So they make it seem like they got their powers from the animals. Because in the first Avatar series, they didn't. They kind of made it seem like that's how they got it. Like they weren't very specific. And I guess I've always felt like that was a mistake. You learn a lot more from the live action adaptation. Learn what? I haven't seen the live action one since 2009, so I actually don't remember how it went. I know they tried to follow. I know the live action Last Airbender movie. No, it didn't come out in 2009. It came out in 2010. I think it came out in 2010. I know it was. When did the Last Airbender movie come out? Was it 10? It was like a year after Dragon Ball Evolution. I remember seeing it, and I remember it was like, this is horrible, but this is still better than Dragon Ball Evolution. Like, at least this got half the story right. No, it was trash. It was trash. They didn't get Suka and Ong and Suku, and they got all the names wrong. And then like the whole character tone was so bad. It was so awful. And don't watch the live action movie. I haven't seen it like in 10 years, and I kind of want to see it again. But it is one of those things that I only saw in the theaters, and I just didn't like it. I was like, man, this kind of sucks. The 3D effects were kind of cool with the water bending when you watch the movie. I do like the fact that in the live action movie, they made it 3 years instead of 1 year to make up for the fact that they can't film this movie fast enough. And the actors are going to age. So they're going to make it 3 years to where they're going to explain why they look so different in 3 years. Came out June 30th, 2020. Was the name of the Shyamalan Nation attacked? It sucked ass. Dragon Ball Evolution came out more than a year before. Because it came out like, I think in March or February. No, yeah, I watched the Last Airbender with Hayden 10 years ago, so that was crazy. But it was awful. But when it comes to the Last Airbender, like it is definitely one of the and it's won multiple awards. Like I like the Last Airbender because it's a children's show, but which talks about war and racism and slavery and sexism and like trauma and like, you know, it talks about like a lot of real world problems. Like there's a lot in that series that people don't really kind of like catch because it's not really something you would expect in a show that was actually targeted towards children. But the Last Airbender Avatar show, we're not talking about the movie anymore, by the way. It was definitely ahead of its time. I just watched it again on Netflix, and I never appreciated how wise Uncle Iroh was until now, like until I got much older, and then I realized that he is definitely wise, and he is. And a lot of his advice in the show is advice that you can use in real life. Especially when they're going through the tunnel. He's like, you know, what did he say in the tunnel? When you're surrounded by darkness, but if you keep pushing forward, you'll come to a better place. Or and I was looking at like memes today. I was looking at a meme, and there was one person saying like, you know, oh, I'm so glad Avatar: The Last Airbender is so much more popular. Like, I'm so happy that it's popular, but I'm afraid to like get into it because like I don't want to seem like a hipster joining a bandwagon, because it seems like everybody's in a bandwagon right now. Everybody likes The Last Airbender because it's the popular thing to like. And And then somebody posted an Uncle Iroh meme. It says, Avatar, like tea, is best enjoyed with a friend. And I was like, damn, mic drop. That made sense. So, like, to the people that are like, I don't want to enjoy Avatar. I don't want to watch Avatar right now because everybody's into it. That's like the popular thing. My news feed is covered in Avatar. But why not just give it a try? Watch it with a friend. Watch it with your friends. Because it's like tea. It's best enjoyed with a friend. I mean, that's the best way. Like, that's the best advice I've heard in a while. Like, because I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like to watch a lot of anime, like, especially the super popular ones, because a lot of fans ruin shit for me. Like, I tried to get into Saitama, and, like, the One Punch Man show, and I just, I didn't like Attack on Titan. I didn't like One Punch Man. I didn't like One Piece. I liked Naruto until Shippuden. Then Naruto made sense until Shippuden. Then, like, Shippuden was okay for a while, and then they started pulling stuff out of their ass that didn't make a lot of sense. I like Full Metal Alchemist. I do like Seven Samurai. I did like Code Geass. I did like Death Note. I like My Hero Academia. Obviously, I like Dragon Ball. You can see all the Dragon Ball shit in the background. You see Star-Lord back there too, the Star-Lord helmet. My Power Ranger helmets. Avatar is not anime. Yeah, no, it's not anime, but anime is just, it's kind of like music. You know, you have different types of music. You have rap, you have country, you have rock, you have metal, you have like gospel, whatever. TV's like, so you have anime because it's animation made in a certain format by a Japanese production company. But Avatar is made in the anime style. It's just like music. It's kind of like rap and like, I don't know, but it's like music. I mean, yeah, it's not the same because it's not made by a Japanese company. It's not, but it is made in it is made in the anime style. So, and they're all the same in the sense that they're TV shows. Avatar is a cartoon. It's animated. It's drawn on paper. It's drawn digitally. Whatever you say, and it's the same. Like you can draw it. Like I can draw Dragon Ball Z on a piece of paper. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know Avatar was made in Korea, but still, a lot of Korean companies do make, they do. So even anime, a lot of anime in Japan is outsourced to Korea because a lot of Korean production companies make, they make the anime shows like much cheaper than like an animation studio in actual Japan or in the United States. Like, and they, so like that's why like certain animes, they have one episode where it has like one art style, and then have another episode where it's kind of like different. It'll go from like, okay, oh, his hair was flowing in the wind, to now his hair is just kind of there and it's not moving at all. So I mean, I'm not going to get into the whole argument whether The Last Airbender is an anime or not, because I think it's an anime. But it is a show. It's a TV show, just like everything else. Everything's just a TV show. That's what I like to call it. Because at the end of the day, they're all fictional. They're all somebody's creation. Even live action TV shows, it's just somebody's creation. So it's, I'm not going to get into that argument because there's a lot of hardcore anime fans that don't want to. They're like, no, it's not from Japan. It's not anime. Well, I mean, I could argue that the Boondocks is a better anime. It's more of an anime than other animes. Because the Boondocks is one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. I'm not even going to argue that. If you don't like the Boondocks, then you are missing out. I'm an art student. I will fight that. Yeah, I agree. Because that's where my argument comes in. Like the Boondocks, like I said, I will argue to death. Like the Boondocks is an anime. It is made in that style. The Boondocks is one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. Avatar is one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. Nuh-uh, really? That's cool. Right. So the way anime is seen in Japan is different than the way anime is seen here. In Mexico, they say anime, dicen anime, pero they also say caricaturas. Todas ellas son caricaturas, which means cartoons. Like, so people in Mexico still they see it as anime, but they still see it as cartoons. To a lot of people around the world, yes, it's anime, but at the end of the day, it's still a cartoon. And you got to understand that cartoons aren't always for children. Like, they made cartoons as propaganda against, they made it as Nazi propaganda. People like Donald Duck would like hunt down Nazis or like stuff like that. It was made to promote like fighting against Nazis. A lot of superheroes were created to fight against Nazis. Look at Captain America. Superman was one of them. He fought against white supremacists, and he fought against Nazis and people part of the Nazi party. I mean, it's so. I mean, is he here? Oh, you're just trolling. That's what you do. I forgot. But I mean, if you haven't seen The Legend of Korra, I would definitely recommend it. It is definitely one of those shows that I feel like it's one that everybody should see. And I know there's a lot of anime fans that only watch anime, but yeah, even the Joker hates Nazis. But there are a lot of anime fans that don't want to watch The Legend of Avatar. I mean, not The Legend of Avatar. I'm sorry, Avatar: The Last Airbender, because they're like, oh, it's not anime. Well, it's very close to it. It's in the same art style. It has a continuing story, which it has continuity. I mean, I feel like the gatekeepers and elitist weeaboos are the only ones who hate anything not from Japan. I don't like a lot of the super weeaboos either, because they are like, I was happy when another Dragon Ball series got announced, when they first announced Dragon Ball Super in 2015, and they're like, oh, the Dragon Ball needs to die. Dragon Ball needs to die. Okay, well, what if someone like Marvel or DC bought Dragon Ball and decided to add it to their universe, their continuity, and they rewrote the story, and they took it away as a manga and made it into a comic? They're like, no, they can't do that because it's anime. But you don't want it. But you don't want, like, well, but we're not going to give it up either. I'm like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. So there's a lot of anime fans that do that shit, and it's really annoying as hell. And a lot of the, like a lot of anime doesn't hold up like Marvel or DC or Dark Horse Comics. Like, we've had the same, like, at the same time, it's refreshing with anime because we get new stories, we get new characters, we get new everything. But at the same time, once an anime ends, it's dead. It's dead in the water. Like, look at Death Note. Death Note is just like, nobody even remember. A lot of people don't. The new generation doesn't even know what Death Note is. The only reason why Death Note became such a popular subject was because they made a live action movie of it, and it sucked. I don't know if he would. There's a lot of they're finally making the Dragon Ball characters to where they're like cosmic level beings, and they're exploring magic and all that kind of stuff. So we'll definitely see in the future, but definitely there's a lot of Marvel characters that I know he could slap. But I don't think Saitama is that strong. I don't, honestly, like, based on what I've seen, based on his feats, like, he is not that strong. Like, people make it seem like, like he's the end all be all. anime character, but that's not true. A Rayleigh from Doctor Slump could slap Saitama into another cartoon. No, yeah, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that's a different story. That's nowhere near comic book, anime level. Like, they are so watered down. And for those of you that haven't seen Justice League Dark Apocalypse Wars, I don't know if I would recommend it. It's a pretty good story, but a lot of and this is I'm gonna go into spoiler territory. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, I would suggest you leave now and come back like tomorrow for the terrible fan fiction. But as far as like Justice League goes, Dark, I don't recommend a lot of people see it, especially if they don't want to see their favorite superheroes get torn in half, because I think a lot of people were afraid that Justice League Dark Apocalypse War was just going to be another Endgame. And no, DC was like, here, hold my beer and watch this. And it was a little hard to watch. I mean, it was pretty hard to watch. I'm not going to say who gets killed, but it was a little hard to watch, and it felt like there was so much gore in it. It kind of like ruined the movie a little, because it's like that crappy anime that they made where these monsters are eating everybody. Like, they look like giant rabbits and they're just eating everybody, and it's such a shitty anime. And it has all that gore just for the sake of having gore. Like, I understand gore is like something a lot of people would like. I wouldn't watch it. I would not watch it. I'm gonna I'm gonna spoil one thing. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. So everybody, just what they did to Shazam is pretty bad. Justice League Dark. No. I do not condone illegally downloading it, but it is, when they say Justice League Dark, they mean dark. I mean, and I thought Endgame was pretty bad. They killed half the universe. No. No. It was awful. No, it was pretty bad. No, but I'll probably do a review on that. I'm still debating on if I want to see the whole movie. I've seen clips, I've seen the beginning, I've seen the ending, and I've seen all the death scenes, and I'm just like, let me put it to you in a way. Let me describe it in the form of a meme. The fans were like, oh, this is going to be another Endgame, and DC's like, here, hold my beer and watch this. And the fans had that surprised Pikachu face, like from the meme. You know, like that. So it's, yeah, that whole movie was, it was the whole movie, your reaction would be like, yeah, because I started watching it, I was just like, I mean, you have my Amazon account, don't you? You can just watch it on there. I'll just buy it and you can watch it. But what was I talking about before I started talking about DC? Oh yeah, like, so we were talking about Avatar: Last Airbender. I would like to do a podcast on just like shitty live action adaptations, because to this very day, the crappiest one is still the Super Mario Brothers movie. There's nothing that can beat that. Not the Death Note movie. The Death Note movie was trash. And I'm talking about the Netflix one, not the Japanese one. I like the Japanese Death Note movies more than I like the Death Note anime. The live action Street Fighter movie was corny, but in a funny way. The Legend of Chun-Li version was just crap. The Last Airbender movie was crap on a different level. Like, they tried to get it right, but they just, like, somebody watched the series and made notes. Somebody watched the series with the sound off and they just looked at the subtitles and wrote notes based on what they read on the subtitles. That's and they made the movie based on that. So I think the problem with The Last Airbender is they try to turn a 20 episode season that's 20 minutes long each episode into an hour and a half movie. And that's the same problem that Dragon Ball had. They try to turn like 2 arcs into a hour and 20 minute movie. So that's not going to work. That's definitely not going to work. So you're going to have to like make it longer. Like Avatar: The Last Airbender to work should have been at least 3 hours long. The Street Fighter movie, the first one wasn't like, it was crap, but it was like funny crap. Like the second one, The Legend of Chun-Li, if you haven't seen it, don't watch it. It's shit. The King of Fighters movie was bad. The Tekken movie was pretty bad. Mortal Kombat, the first one was pretty good. The second one was trash. Like when Sub-Zero shows up to save them, you can see the zip line carrying him across the stage. They don't edit out the zip line. It's right there in plain sight. You can see it. Ninja Turtles was probably it's probably still in my mind the greatest live action adaptation of anything, like comics, video games, anything. Scott Pilgrim versus the World was great. Compared to the comic, it doesn't. They try to stick to the comic really well, and they did a really good job. So Scott Pilgrim versus the World is definitely one that I would watch. Yeah, no, the acting in the Last Airbender movie was awful. And I don't know why they just didn't call it Avatar: The Last Airbender. They just called it The Last Airbender. I guess they were trying to, like, distance it away from the Blue Avatar movie. Wait, which one what? Like, what is your question to? Which one? Oh, the first Ninja Turtles. The first Ninja Turtles. I'm talking about the 1989 movie that was released in 1990. Because the new 2012 and 2014 Turtles, 2015 Turtles, the first one was okay, but they look like Shreks with turtle shells, and then the second one was just. The second one is like cool because it gives us everything we wanted in a Ninja Turtle movie, but at the same time, it did give us everything we wanted, and it just didn't work. So they tried to make everybody happy, and it just didn't work because it doesn't work in a live action movie. It doesn't fit. It just doesn't. I felt like they were trying to make more toy sales, if anything, than actually make a good movie. And I'm so glad that they gave what's his face less power over the movie, because he was a producer, but he had like a say in the movie because he was like he was providing some of the finances for it. Like he wanted to make Donatello a girl, which didn't make any sense. And the fans backlashed, and they changed Donatello back to a dude. So that was good. That was definitely great. That is something that was a thing. Like, y'all can look it up. At one point, they were gonna make Donatello a girl turtle in the Ninja Turtle movie, and Michael Bay's reasoning behind it was, "Wouldn't you like to see a cool, hot turtle chick?" And like he says something dumb in that lines, and it was so bad. It was so bad that they had to change it. They're like, "No, dude, you're retarded. Get off. You don't get to make any more decisions." I mean, the first 2 Shreks were great. I think that we don't need another Shrek movie. We need another Big Hero 6 movie. That's what we really need. That's what the world really needs. And we need a live-action Spider-Verse with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland. We need somebody needs to restart the damn Transformers universe movies, because those are bad. Those are awful. Like, remember we were watching we put on The Last Night at my friend's house, my friend Trunks' house, and like nobody was even paying attention to the movie. We were like talking about other stuff and doing other stuff and like playing games. The movie's going on in the background. I look up at the movie, I'm like, what the hell is going on? And like everybody's like, nobody knew what was going on anymore. Oh, by the way, one of the commenters here, Tori, I do need your help making a cosplay soon. I have decided that I want to cosplay again. So I want to do Megazord from Power Rangers, and I want to do Darkseid from the DC universe. But I want to, because I'm going to have the Infinity Gauntlets, I'm gonna have both Infinity Gauntlets, and I want to have Superman's cape like in one hand and like Tony Stark's helmet in the other, like Thanos' head in one hand and Superman's cape in the other. I want to be like I'm the super, like, or make it seem like I killed everybody. That would be a cool cosplay. That would be a badass cosplay. That's definitely a cosplay I probably won't wear until like next year though, because we're not going to any. We're not going to go to any cons. We're definitely not going to go to Delta. We're not going to go to Anime Matsuri. That's definitely off the table. And and we're we're not going to that. We're not going to go to the Texas Renaissance Festival. As a matter of fact, Comic Palooza was supposed to happen this weekend, but they delayed it months ago. We were going to go. We had panels. We had submitted panels. We had everything. One of our staff members even took the weekend off, and he forgot to say that, hey, I don't need the weekend off anymore. So he's off today. He's off tomorrow. He has to work Saturday morning, but not for long. But it's crazy, though, because we were supposed to be at Comic Palooza. Technically, we would have been there today, like at the hotel, just chilling at the pool. But, you know, with everything that's going on, especially with the pandemic, with White Claw, I mean, everything's changed. But, like, as far as cosplaying goes, I want to do Megazord and I want to do Darkseid. I'm only going to do 2 cosplays. I'm pretty much done with cosplay. I want to take more of a backstage role when it comes to cons. I want to be more in the back, like help run the panels, help set up the panels, make sure they're on time, make sure, well, not all the panels are panels. Like, I don't, like, the rest, like, all the other panels that are run by other groups and other people, they can run their own shit. I'm not going to run their shit for them. But I am responsible for my group. Like, I want to make sure my group, that their help, like, make sure they have everything. Make sure they know how everything works. Make sure they know, like, they don't get nervous. Make sure they have water. Make sure they're taken care of. I want to be, like, yeah, I want to be a producer. I definitely would like to be a producer. I'm already taking on a producer role for some other channels, for some YouTube channels. And I'm going to help my friend with this Religious Geeks channel, which is going to be really cool. It's a Christian Geeks podcast where it talks about how, like, you can be a Christian and be into comics and anime and cosplay and shit like that. And, like, one of the biggest subjects we're going to talk about is the elephant in the, we call it the elephant in the room, but it's pretty much the protesters that go to the cons and tell everybody they're going to go to hell, because those people are full of shit. They don't know what they're talking, like, most of the time they don't even know what the hell they're talking about. And they're making accusations, they're making judgments, and they're not even supposed to be doing that shit. As a Christian, you're not supposed to be doing that crap. They're so full of crap. And we're going to talk about that because, like, he wants to help the community. I want to help the community, but I don't want to go from a religious standpoint, but he does. So I'm going to be a producer for his channel, helping him do that. So that's going to be really cool. Definitely. And then we have our All Girl podcast, which is coming out soon, which is going to come out, like, I think in a few weeks, in a month, I think. We're still promoting that. Definitely. We already have our co-hosts lined up. We already have all 4 of our co-hosts lined up. And I'm going to make sure that everything runs smoothly for them. Like I do now with the channel. Like, I have to make sure everything runs fine. Like, yesterday we had a technical difficulty, but that's because the Facebook call messenger thing had a glitch and it messed up and it was no longer being read by the studio app. So Facebook still has, like, a lot of things they need to work out with their program. But overall, it works better than Skype. Like, every day I watch videos and I look up information online to figure out how I can make my podcast better. And I listen to people, like, you know, it has my name right there on the bottom. So, like, you know, like, hey, so people don't, like, think that my name is actually Geek Survivor. No, that's the name of the group. I go by King Mexico or Goku. And, like, I run Geek Survivor. Wait. But there's a lot of things that we are working on, like, Big Box Cosplay, they joined Geeks 5 Ever. They're a cosplaying couple, and they do a lot. So we're gonna have them run the TikTok. They're gonna do the TikTok, and they're gonna be in charge of that. I'm giving them full creative control as far as that goes. So that's gonna be pretty cool to see once they start getting the ball rolling and see where that goes. As far as like the podcast goes, so we have a guest lined up this weekend, by the way. It's one of my old friends. He used to, I don't know if he still runs he used to run a steampunk group. I don't know if he still does. They call themselves Airship Nikolai. They all practiced their Russian accents because they all had Russian accents. I don't know if he wants me to say his real name, but he was part of Airship Nikolai. I don't know if they're still a thing or still around. So normally we do our guest podcasts on Saturdays, but we're doing it this Sunday because unfortunately he does have to work Saturday. And so I don't. How's TikTok the devil? How's TikTok the devil? TikTok makes money and it's for the younger audience. That's why I have 2 people that are under the age of 25 running it. Because I don't understand. I'm not going to... Damn it. Didn't I just say I wasn't going to say his name? The reason why I don't like saying people's actual names on the podcast is because we have to represent their privacy because they don't want a lot of people, like, I guess, messing with them or messing with, like, they don't want their jobs they don't want it to interfere with their jobs because a lot of companies are very strict. They have very strict policies when it comes to stuff like this, especially when you share on social media. Nikolai, I don't know. I didn't make the airship. I had an opportunity to join the airship, but steampunk just really isn't my thing. I've always been more of a out there cosplay, like when I did Cookie Monster and I did Pikachu. I mean, you don't even delete your comment. There's no point. Like yesterday when they were telling Black Sonic to delete the comment, it didn't make sense because in order for it to really go away, I'd had to delete the whole podcast. Because it's on the stream now. Like, it's there. That's why we try to avoid it. Because when you're live and you go live, unless you delete the video, there is no going back. I can't edit out anything. I can't edit out the comments. I can't take out the comments. I'm not going to either because they make the stream. They're part of the stream, and it makes the stream not unique in a way, but it is part of the structure of the stream. A lot of people do this. They do it this way. They just don't do it live. Like, you have the 3 videos live, but not too many people do it live with the chat. So that is what makes it stand out a little. And I think we're going to stop calling it a podcast. We're just going to call it like live stream shows. We're going to call it more of a show than a podcast because it's more of a discussion where we come on here. You guys are actually participating in the discussion by commenting or asking questions. So, and we do acknowledge it. Like, we see it. If it's part of the stream, then we'll acknowledge it. Half of the time, people are going to troll or like talk to each other on the stream. So like we try to like avoid like unnecessary banter on the comments. So that's why you never cross streams. All right, guys. Well, I'm really tired. Like, I don't have anybody with me today because nobody wanted to do the Harry Potter versus Avatar: The Last Airbender because nobody knew anything about Harry Potter. Like, and even the people that knew about Harry Potter were like, no, Harry Potter's not as good as Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I will fight anybody to that. Like, Avatar: The Last Airbender is a much better show than Harry Potter. Harry Potter was just like, bleh. Harry Potter's like, okay, well, only one country in the world has problems or wizards, and it's England, where Avatar is an entire planet of benders and nations and war and people dying and being affected by this, and it spans like, and it's got so much lore they haven't explored, and they explain more lore in Korra, but I'm pretty sure there's so much more. Like, they should give Avatar 1 his own series. Like, I would have enjoyed that more than Korra, but it is what it is. Korra's not a bad show. It's a good show, but it's not great. Like Avatar: The Last Airbender. Could it have been better? Yes, if they had planned it out more, if they had like a plan from beginning to end and stuck to it than the original plan they had. Because if you watch it, go back and watch The Legend of Korra, the first season. It seems it's really good in the beginning, but after that, like, it just drops in like quality, and you'll see it. The story drops in quality, and they kind of just like have this like weird ending. The way they ended, and it didn't even end the first season. It was just kind of like there. I don't know. Have to rewatch it, but you can see it. Like, one day they're writing this great story, and then out of nowhere it just like stops. Like, it just boo. So I mean, it's just I mean, if they had more long-term goals for Korra, it probably would have been so much better. It probably could have been better than The Last Airbender. It looked like it was headed that way because Korra was a different character, a more relatable character for people that were teens. Because Aang was a 12-year-old, and so Aang's going to be more upbeat and cheerful and lively than Korra, who Korra's dealing with hormones and being Avatar and just trying to live her life and just trying to like be happy versus you can't compare the two. It's like comparing your parents' generation to your generation. It's just not going to work because it's different times. So, I mean, I would give Korra a chance. I honestly don't think it's good as The Last Airbender, and that's only because they didn't have a long-term goal. I felt like they had like a goal for a short series, and it kind of evolved into something that was much longer. They never intended for it to last. I think they never intended it for it to go that long, and it did go that long. Because the seasons aren't even as... I'm pretty sure, I don't remember, but I think the seasons for Korra aren't even as long as The Last Airbender. It has more seasons, but I think they're not as long. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to go to end there. Today was like a very random chill day for me. Plus I don't feel good. Alright guys, peace.